By no means. I had rather die as a valiant soldier than be hanged as a coward. They endeavoured as much as they could to take him prisoner, but he defended himself so obstinately that they were forced to kill him, notwithstanding all the cries and tears of his own wife and daughter, who begged him on their knees to demand quarter and save his life. When the pirates had possessed themselves of the castle, which was about night, they enclosed therein all their prisoners, placing the women and men by themselves, with some guards. The wounded were put in an apartment by itself, that their own complaints might be the cure of their diseases, for no other was afforded them. This done, they fell to eating and drinking, as usual, that is, committing in both all manner of debauchery and excess, so that 50 courageous men might easily have retaken the city and killed all the pirates. Next day, having plundered all they could find, they examined some of the prisoners, who had been persuaded by their companions to say that they were the richest of the town, charging them severely to discover where they had hid their riches and goods. Not being able to extort anything from them, they not being the right persons, it was resolved to torture them. This they did so cruelly that many of them died on the wreck, or presently after. Now the president of Panama being advertised of the pillage and ruin of Puerto Bello, he employed all his care and industry to raise forces to pursue and cast out the pirates thence. But these cared little for his preparations, having their ships at hand, and determining to fire the city and retreat. They had now been at Puerto Bello 15 days, in which time they had lost many of their men, both by the unhealthiness of the country and by extravagant debaucheries. Hereupon they prepared to depart, carrying on board all the pillage they had got, having first provided the fleet with sufficient victuals for the voyage. While these things were doing, Captain Morgan demanded of the prisoners a ransom for the city, or else he would burn it down and blow up all the castles withal. He commanded them to send speedily 2 persons to procure the sum, which was 100,000 pieces of 8. To this effect 2 men were sent to the president of Panama, who gave him an account of all. The president, having now a body of men ready, set forth towards Puerto Bello to encounter the pirates before their retreat. But they, hearing of his coming, instead of flying away, went out to meet him at a narrow passage, which he must pass. Here they placed 100 men, very well armed, which at the first encounter put to flight a good party of those of Panama. This obliged the president to retire for that time, not being yet in posture of strength to proceed farther. Presently after, he sent a message to Captain Morgan, to tell him that if he departed not suddenly with all his forces from Puerto Bello, he ought to expect no quarter for himself nor his companions when he should take them, as he hoped soon to do. Captain Morgan, who feared not his threats, knowing he had a secure retreat in his ships, which were at hand, answered, he would not deliver the castles before he had received the contribution money he had demanded, which if it were not paid down, he would certainly burn the whole city, and then leave it, demolishing beforehand the castles and killing the prisoners. The governor of Panama perceived by this answer that no means would serve to mollify the hearts of the pirates, nor reduce them to reason. Hereupon he determined to leave them, as also those of the city whom he came to relieve, involved in the difficulties of making the best agreement they could. Thus in a few days more the miserable citizens gathered contributions required, and bought 100,000 pieces of 8 to the pirates for a ransom of their cruel captivity. But the president of Panama was much amazed to consider that 400 men could take such a great city, with so many strong castles, especially having no ordnance wherewith to raise batteries, and what was more, knowing the citizens of Puerto Bello had always great repute of being good soldiers themselves, and who never wanted courage in their own defence. This astonishment was so great as made him send to Captain Morgan, desiring some small pattern of those arms wherewith he had taken with much vigour so great a city. Captain Morgan received this messenger very kindly and with great civility, and gave him a pistol and a few small bullets to carry back to the president his master, telling him withal he desired him to accept that send the pattern of the arms wherewith he had taken Puerto Bello, and keep them for a 12-month, after which time he promised to come to Panama and fetch them away. The governor returned the present very soon to Captain Morgan, giving him thanks for the favour of lending him such weapons as he needed not, and withal sent him a ring of gold with this message, that he desired him not to give himself the labour of coming to Panama, as he had done to Puerto Bello, for he did assure him he should not speed so well here as he had done there. After this, Captain Morgan, having provided his fleet with all necessaries, and taken with him the best guns of the castles, laying up the rest, set sail from Puerto Bello with all his ships, and arriving in a few days at Cuba, he sought out a place wherein he might quickly make the dividends of their sport. They found in ready money 250,000 pieces of eight, besides other merchandises, as cloth, linen, silks, etc. With this rich purchase, they sailed thence to a common place of rendezvous, Jamaica. Being arrived, they passed here some time in all sorts of vices and debaucheries, according to the custom, spending very prodigalily what others had gained with no small labour and toil. End of chapter 11.